This is a gentleman sent to me by Kaiser from India. I'm supposed to see him tomorrow, and he's bringing me 5 pounds of spices. I don't know what I asked for, but we'll see what happens. But I'm willing to share. He had a large tumor. Thank God he didn't have to have any radiation. That's the final prosthesis. That was what he had to put up with for 6 months. This was a really hard case for me because it was a very large defect. And getting him to a point that he could talk and not also have a bunch of fluid go out his nose as he would eat and drink. This is an impression I take. You have to be a little bit careful because if you get too much in there, you can't get it out. There's the defect that we're dealing with. And when you deal with it, I mean, this was kind of like a hole between an area between where he swallows and stuff, and trying to deal with this mucosa and all this muscle that's moving. It's really kind of hard because you really don't know what your limitations are. And if they get an ulceration, especially if he had radiation and he got an ulceration, then I would have been in a whole lot of trouble. She had an ameloblastoma and lost all of her mandible from the ascending rings to the mesial of 27. And they did bilateral bone grafts, upper, superior and inferior. Then Highland Hospital, I don't know who's in charge of it. These guys, they do all kinds of, it was like Benjamin you saw before. I wrote to the surgeon and I said, you know, you've done this case and put these implants in, but basically what you've done is you plan for failure. They're mobile, there's not that much bone, you can't clean it. He didn't pay any money. I guess you guys feel good about this, but you just created a terrible situation that nobody can really deal with. And it's just your plan for failure. In this case, it was basically that way. This is a fixed hybrid also. I mean, she has no inner arch, inner occlusal room. You know, these tiny little, I mean, she can't clean it. Nobody ever taught her how to clean it anyway. It's kind of like third choice. Do a bunch of work and then let them go. She's just a sweetheart. She had a boyfriend that drove me crazy. I couldn't get him to stay out of the room. He wasn't working. She put him through school. Oh my God, he was such a parasite. I couldn't stand him. And she was just a little doll. That's just the occlusal room of this fixed hybrid. And this is just a piece of junk. That's the little screws that were holding it down. That's what it looked like when I finally took it out. Oh, this. I will do hybrids now because I used to feel sorry for people, but I don't now because I need the money more than I need feeling sorry for them. And if they want a hybrid that's fixed, I'll give it to them. And the pitiful thing is, you know, you have to make it in such a way that hopefully they will take the time to keep it clean, because most of them can't. And if you can't see it, you can't clean it. I don't care what anybody says, but some people demand it, and if they want it, so be it. But this is just terrible. This is temporary soft material they had underneath, and then they screwed it in place, and all it just collects bacteria and food. It's just terrible. These were unimated buttons, universal machine abutment. Those have been around for probably 25 years. They were really handy in the old days. I haven't seen one of those in a long time. And of course, you're dealing with no stratified squamous epithelium. This is all mucosa. Luckily, I didn't have the cheek sutured to the tongue, because a lot of times when you do cases like this, it's just a sea of soft tissue, and everything then blends, and then you have no way to maintain cleanliness around these implants because it's just pure mucosa, and the food and everything else just goes down there dramatically. So in this case, and that's how I started, I went to locators. I didn't have any occlusal inner arch space, and I needed to give her something that she could keep maintaining, keep clean, and it's pretty easy, you know, compared to what she had. There it is. I thought it was pretty simple to a really complicated situation. I put 2 inserts in, and she had a hell of a time getting those out. Now, I love this. You remember this, Tim? Yep. Dr. Gifford did me a favor and tried to get that implant exposed, which was right on the mesial 27. I mean, come on, guys. If you're going to do stuff like this, I mean, give me a break. It's just a totally wasted implant. But guess what? I'm in charge of Kaiser anyway. And they work perfect. And as long as they keep them clean, and the nice thing about locators, now you see here on this implant, beware of these locators. They only last for about 3 to 5 years. And you can't get them in. I mean, you always have a dimensional change. I don't care how good an impression you take. When you process these, they don't always go quite right. And more often than not, I will take out a rubber dam, punch it, put it over the locator, burr out the female, and go back and put it back in the locator, and have a miraculous change in the way it fits. And just, you know, and I don't get them stuck if I put the rubber dam over them, and it's real simple. Just cut a little square, punch a little hole, put it over the locator, put your female on it, procure it into the, you know, put your procure in the denture and snap it on and let it sit. And generally, you won't get yourself into trouble. Not that I haven't got myself into trouble, I have, but that's why I use the rubber dam. I think she needed ortho, but couldn't deal with that.